Okay, so you might not necessarily believe this one, but sometimes two incomes is not necessarily better than one. You see, there was once a time when it was common for one spouse to go to work and earn a living while the other spouse stayed at home and took care of the house and the kids. Remember that? As gender roles expanded in the 60s and 70s, though, these stereotypes went out the window and both spouses often went to work. That was nice, but it also brought on greater financial stakes for families, in particular for affluent households, which are often presumed to have the most income potential and the most opportunity to live off just one paycheck. You'd think households with two incomes would be more financially secure than a household with just one, but ironically, research came up with different conclusions. Despite the dramatic increase in total household income from the 70s through the early 2000s, total discretionary income, get this, actually declined over that same time period. Not only that, but total fixed expenses went up, mainly due to the need to purchase a second car and with housing inflation as parents engage in bidding wars to get their kids into good school districts. At the same time, these families were also losing an important potential safeguard, the ability for the non-working spouse to get a job during a financial shock. This ultimately leads to the counterintuitive conclusion that a dual income household may actually be more financially at risk when facing a sudden loss of one spouse's income. So what does all this mean? Am I saying that you're taking a huge risk by having a dual income family? Not necessarily, but I am suggesting that if you have a household where both spouses or parents or partners are working, you could potentially be the most secure when you decide to live off of just one income instead of both. How? You simply have to manage your spending as if you were living off a single earner's income, even if you could, quote, afford to spend a lot more. Of course, there's a lot to consider here if you're thinking about the dual income versus single income approach. With just one income, you have to think about emergency fund savings, disability insurance, making sure non-working spouse can enter the workforce quickly if they need to, and what happens if there's an unfortunate divorce. But the reality is that simply to assume that a dual earner approach is financially superior is not always correct. By delegating earning responsibility to a single individual and the savings responsibility to the other, you may experience higher lifetime earnings and reduce the shock of one spouse losing their income. That's right, sometimes two incomes aren't better than one.